Good morning, good afternoon, good night to whatever time that you may be watching. Welcome into 3D. I am your gracious host, Will DollaBill Bush, and I am joined by a very special guest tonight, man. This is a man that took his talents all the way from Oakland, California to college football, where he was able to dominate at Utah State for 4 years, flipping that to a triumphant 8-year NFL career as a running back. Now you might catch him on CBS calling your team's favorite game. I am joined by former Super Bowl champion of the Seattle Seahawks, Mr. Robert Turbinator Turbin.
What's up with it, man? Hey, I appreciate that intro, man. You got me wanting to put the pads back on or something. You know what I'm saying? Might have to line it up, run power.
Tell them watch out.
A-gap action.
Tell the Seahawks, watch out. Tell the 49ers, watch out. We have to blow the dust off the Turbin jerseys and tell the 12th man to suit up because we ready to go this weekend.
It is a big game this weekend, not gonna lie. A rivalry, I guess renewed in some ways, but we don't need to dust off the jersey because I'm trying to get on my show. I'm feeling pretty good. Body's feeling good. I don't need to be running up in there. All right, catching those strays, all right, from the red and gold. You know, plus K9, Kenneth Walker III, Zach Sharper, they the boys. They got it. They got that thing on lock, man. They good to go.
Definitely,
but I could give you about 5 of them if we needed me to.
I don't have no doubts about that. I don't think nobody still want to see you in no Oklahoma drills. I think they're good on that one.
One of the things that I guess stood out to me during my pro years was how much structure is important. And why do I say that? Because in college, your whole year, because you're going to school, is pretty structured for you. Even the summer, because you got summer workouts, you got things that are organized within the team. When you go to the pros, that structure is on you to develop and put together on a day-to-day basis, 100%. But not just the discipline, the organization of how you structure your entire off season and the free time that you have to prepare yourself for the next phase. That phase after the season, that first phase is OTAs, right? When you get back mid-April, the team gets back, et cetera, that next phase then being training camp. And young players, if they don't have the structure set up, could set themselves up for failure or decline because of lack of knowledge, not because of lack of want to. And so, I think that's one thing that I can point to that was a big sort of learning curve for me early, because it's different for everybody. Ultimately it comes down to what sort of connection do you have in your locker room. That's going to lead to your ultimate success right away. And then, from a coaching standpoint, who has the ability to be innovative? Who has the ability to be able to make adjustments on the field? And then I think there is a component that there are players out there who are just really special. And those are the guys who tend to usually have the ability to rise your team above the conflict and the nuances and the adversities of a game. For us, that was Marshawn Lynch. There are other teams that will wait to find out, who those players could be. But I look at those 3 aspects in terms of those being key difference makers, and that's why you always see these games be so close, because the talent that is even across the board. If you really look at it, these are all pros. We're professional ball players. But what's the separation? Well, coaching matters. So if you can make adjustments throughout the game and you do a better job schematically putting your guys in position to be successful, that matters. What's the connectivity like within that locker room? And then who's the guy that can help your team rise above the conflict? for instance, like I mentioned, Marshawn Lynch. There's an opposite side to that spectrum, and I don't want to call anybody out necessarily, but if you look at the Eagles and their situation, here's a team that we probably would all agree they have one of the best top 3 to 5 rosters in all NFL when you just look at the names on the roster. But why is it that they got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs against a team that has none of their key players? Well, you point to connectivity first. Which locker room was more connected? I think it's pretty easy to say. 49ers were more connected. Which offensive staff did a better job and was able to make in-game adjustments or adjustments throughout the year? Well, Kevin Patullo got fired, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, for a reason today.
Most definitely.
Okay. And then who's the player that could, help you sort of rise above? And you could argue and say the Eagles got more players than that, but those players did not show up in the game.
Most definitely. I definitely have to agree with you on that one. And you touched on, some of the guys that were game changers in your locker room. Marshawn Lynch, Beast Mode. You actually played in Seattle whenever you guys were very dominant. You guys had Errol Thomas on defense, Cam Chancellor in the secondary, Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner, and those guys. Just the list can go on and on by how dominant you guys were, and even on the offensive end. Golden Tate, Percy Harvin, Russell Wilson. You guys you played and spent a lot of time in Seattle when that was a very strong era for your franchise. So what would you say helped make that culture work for you guys, and what was it like being in that environment?
Well, it was amazing, and I learned a lot, and it was a constant push to be great. We all wanted to be individually great, and we pushed each other to be great as a team. We challenged each other. We fought each other. It was like one big family, for real. Because we didn't always agree, and we didn't always get along, but we knew what the ultimate goal was at the end of the day. And we wanted to be the team that sort of separated ourselves from the pack, and that's why we pushed so hard. You think about that roster and all the guys that you named, and I think Earl Thomas and Marshawn Lynch were the only first-round picks out of all the guys you just named. So a lot of us were guys that were kind of overlooked. I know my draft class was graded an F, as we all famously know. And, like Michael Jordan said in the Last Dance, we took that personally.
That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
Yeah. And we wanted to go out and improve ourselves, and we were able to do that. But we understood that we had to have a level of maturity and leadership in order for us to get over that hump, and we did. I think our locker room was perfectly blended with veteran players and young players to get to the places that we ultimately got to.
You can definitely tell by the fight and grit and just the attitude, the swagger that you guys brought, that you guys definitely played with the chip on your shoulder. Like, we're coming out here every night, we got something to prove, man. We about to hit y'all boys in the mouth, and we about to talk about it. We about to let y'all know, like, yeah, we about to come, we coming, and y'all, we gonna let y'all know. And I like that. I like that about that Seattle team. Like every time that you stepped on that field, you know what LOB was going to bring, and y'all brought it every single game and every single night.
Yeah, they say you practice like you play. And so it was like that. We talk all the time. Practice was crazy.
Yes, I can only imagine. If people think that NFL players talk bad on game days, practice, it's way worse.
Man, practice was crazy, man. You got Sherm yelling at Russ, talking about, bruh, don't throw it over here, because there's nothing over here. And he letting them know about it. Every time he threw to that side, it don't matter what drill it is.
Yeah.
You got Earl Thomas, who had one speed, and that was full.
Love it.
So much so that we got into a couple fights and walked through, because it's walk through, but this motherfucker going full speed.
Yeah.
But that was him. And that was that he wanted to be he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. That was him. He didn't care about none of that. I don't care about none of the walk y'all can do. Y'all can walk through. I'm Earl Thomas. I'm going full speed. So we just approached.
Fly through the wall for you.
Yeah. So everything we did. The approach was so much attitude, and it propelled us, man, to be successful on the field.
For sure. And with so much success that you saw as a team and as a whole in Seattle, and everything for you in your career, winning that Super Bowl championship, even going to another one, was there like a point in your career where you're like, man, the game is really slowing down for me? Like, what was that point that you felt in your NFL career where you're like, man, I truly belong here?
Yeah, I think it was the year after, actually, we won the Super Bowl. That thing started to, somewhat slow down for me, man. I pressed a lot. And a lot of guys do that. They come into the league, they got something to prove. Maybe they're a backup, maybe they're a third string, maybe they're primarily on special teams. And, you press, and sometimes, it takes having some success as a team and utilizing some of those other guys in the locker room as examples, for the game to kind of slow down for you. It takes more opportunity, more reps. As well. So I would say like my third year for me. And one of the things that I really learned was this. I remember after my rookie year, I was at practice and Tom Cable came up to me. He was our offensive line coach and he was our run game coordinator. If you remember, he used to be the head coach of the Raiders too. And he said, Turbo, this is when guys make their biggest jump. It's from year 1 to year 2. And that's when you're able to display, most of your skills, and maybe from experience he was right, but what I learned was that it's different for everybody. Like think about a guy like Kyle Pitts, tight end for the Falcons. Everybody was talking about, he probably should be traded or cut until this season.
Yeah, they were.
It took until year 4 for the game to finally click for him. And that's how it was for me. Like the game started slowing down year 3, but the game didn't actually click for me until actually my 4th year, where I spent a half that year in Dallas. That's when the game actually started to click for me at the pro level. And the development is different for everybody. And your situation oftentimes dictates that. If you're a young guy and you get out there and you're put into a situation where you can get a lot of playing time or you're starting, then your development is probably going to be a little bit faster.
Exactly.
But if you're not getting those opportunities early and you're in and you're out and it's it's abbreviated, then your development might take a little bit longer. So it's different for everybody, and for me, I would say it slowed down in year 3, but it actually clicked for me in year 4.
Definitely. And with the game slowing down, you being able to find your footing in the league, I'm pretty sure there was probably a game or a moment in there where you were like, man, this is special for me. This is a special game. Like this is a game where I got the juice. I'm feeling it this game. So is there like a game or a moment that maybe the average fan would never guess that maybe meant a lot to you personally?
That's a great question. Man. I would have to say our second year, we played the 49ers at home, or I think it might have been on the road. And I really had a really decent game in that matchup. As the hometown team, I grew up a 49er fan.
Yeah. Going back to the Bay.
And things started clicking there. But I'll give you one better. It was 2015. I was playing for the Dallas Cowboys. We were on the road in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. And it was me, it was Darren McFadden in the backfield,
Yeah.
sharing carries, and that was the game for me. That was the game that I feel like it just started to turn in terms of like just my overall confidence and and belief that I could really do this at a high level, in a starting level. It's interesting, like you come into the league or at any level really, and you play, but you know that you're playing, as a backup player behind somebody who's going to be a Hall of Famer. And not that can knock your confidence off a little bit, but it's just like, you question if you're ever going to get the opportunity to be able to get to that level, because great players are great and the opportunities are so slim in the league. Ain't no guarantees. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So Dallas at Green Bay 2015, that was a big one for me.
That was the game you actually got your first career rushing touchdown, if I'm correct, right?
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, for sure. I can see why that would be special. You by chance you still got that football?
You know it, 100%, man. Got the home office. Like I said, I'm on the road today, man. So I wish if I was at the home office, man, you'd be able to see all the stuff. But I'm traveling this week.
For sure. And now that you're traveling, you're abroad more, you're working for CBS, you're calling games, pretty sure you got your own side ventures going on. But now that you're removed from the day-to-day grind of the NFL, of football in the league, what do you think you appreciate more about your playing days than you did while you were in it?
Winning a championship. It's one of the things that if it happens early, you can take it for granted.
Yep.
And I did. Our rookie year, we got eliminated by the Falcons in the divisional round.
That's right.
Game-winning field goal, but then we ended up beating Denver the next year. But that was my second year.
Yeah.
And then the third year, we went back.
Went right back. 1 yard line away.
So you like, hey. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? And as you become older in the league, think about this. I never made it back to the playoffs as a player after we lost that Super Bowl, outside of going back to Seattle in 2019. Wow. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy. And I played on some good teams. When I was in Indy, I thought we had some good teams. It didn't help that Andrew Luck wasn't healthy, because that would have put us where we needed to be. But we had some good players, man, really, really good players, and we continued to fall short of the playoffs. It's crazy. And then, like, I was teammates with a guy like Frank Gore, who, when I was a 49er fan, was one of my favorite all-time players, and he used to talk about all the time how here he is, he's the third leading rusher in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
And he would trade it for a Super Bowl ring. And so I remember having an argument with my running backs coach, Sherman Smith, in Seattle. This was during my third year before we went back to the Super Bowl. And so, him and I used to have some very transparent conversation. He was always very open. This is a guy that played running back 9 years in the league. So he know the game. Just, and he's been coaching for 20 plus. He coached Eddie George back in the Oilers days. Like, this is, and so I was in a space that I was just, I want to be there. I've been the guy my whole life.
Yeah.
I work hard. I know what kind of work I put in, and I'm trying to be patient, because I know there's a Hall of Famer. You got a Hall of Famer, bro. That's playing. I've never seen it before. Marshawn Lynch is the best running back I have ever watched. And I'm not saying that because he was my teammate.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because it's the truth.
Wow.
You know, like, I've watched a lot of running backs live. I saw AP take 198 on us to the almost to the crib. Like I done seen great players play.
Yeah.
And Marshawn to me is definitely like one of the ones that's just like up there for real.
And you played in the era with a lot of great running backs too. So
yeah, and I say that because like he's one of those guys that truly had no weaknesses.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you could put Marshawn and tell him to play wide receiver, and he would have been just as great of a player. That's what I'm saying, like in terms of his greatness. But anyway, I'm great. I'm great too in my mind.
Yes.
And so I started to get like this impatience about like, you know, wanting to be the guy at some point, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was on my body language. You can see it. And so coach put me aside and said, "What's going on, Turbo, man?" I'm like, "Man, you know, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to take this thing to the next level, you know?" And we started talking about the Super Bowl. He's like, "Man, we just won the Super Bowl, man, and all of this stuff." And this is what I told him. I said, "Man, I'd rather lose the Super Bowl as a starter than win as a backup." And he looked at me and he said, "Excuse me?" And so I repeated it. And let me tell you something. When I said this, I was serious, bro. This was not, I promise to God, I was honest as hell. And I said, I would rather lose the Super Bowl as a starter than win as a backup. That's what I told him. And you know what he told me? He sat back like this. He was chill as hell too. He sat back like he said, "You're gonna take that back one day." And he was right. So to answer your question, man, the thing that I appreciate the most is honestly, like it sounds cliche, but because it happened to me so young, it's winning the title, because it's the way that it's presented opportunities for me in retirement is huge. Even the introduction to podcast, Super Bowl champion, running back,
Robert
like
Turbin.
that, it just holds something. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm really like, forget this to being a starter and all that bull. Like, you know, I contributed and I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have that ring, bro.
And now that you're removed from it, and you talked about Marshawn being, you know, the greatest running back that you got to witness and lay eyes on, why did Pete Carroll hand the ball off after one, man? Oh, we're all wondering. Is that still a tender topic and tender subject for y'all, Seattle, man? I know, man.
It is. And it's gotten to the point where, because we all, you know, obviously we all have our theories, but it's gotten to the point where it's just like, bro, you gotta ask the guy to make the decision. Because here's the thing. Here's the truth.
Yeah.
He's the one person that ain't answered the question.
Everybody else
has
asked except Pete.
Everybody else is giving their opinion, except one guy.
You got a point there. I don't know. They're not asking the right person, man. I don't know. Hook it up, Turb. Hook it up. Let's get Pete Carroll on. We gotta get Pete Carroll on. We gotta ask him some intriguing questions about that Super Bowl.
Yeah, we do.
For sure. So, again, like I said, man, you played in an era where there was just running back after running back. Yourself, Marshawn Lynch, LaShawn McCoy era, Adrian Peterson era, you know, a lot of guys that would come up, hit you in the mouth if you was not bringing those arms with the tackle. So if you could use traits from, even guys that you played against, or, even guys from any era, speed, power, vision, toughness, who you taking to build the perfect running back?
Great question. Wow. I would say like vision wise, I gotta go with LT, Danny and Tomlinson on the vision.
That's a good one.
I would say like elusivity. That's easy. That's Barry Sanders, bro, all day. You know what I'm saying? I would say from a contact balance standpoint, being able to break tackles, this is where Marshawn really excelled.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, because his contact balance was out of this world, and you just couldn't bring him down easily. And rarely did one person get him down. He also had, he also had great route running skills and hands. And so I would lean towards him. From that standpoint, I would argue that he did a little bit more than LaDainian Tomlinson in that front, in terms of lining up on the outside. And don't forget, he caught a slant and go in the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
He did. I mean, LT didn't he catch 1,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken?
He did catch for 1,000 yards. He did catch for 1,000 yards. I guess if not to use Marshawn twice, because I'd rather have his contact balance.
Sure.
If I had to go with catch the ball out of the backfield, I might go with a guy like Darren Sproles, bro.
Darren Sproles, for sure.
Killer.
Very underrated.
Yeah, you couldn't guard him at all. Quickness, speed, catching the football, route running. He brought that to the table. And then lastly, and the thing that I think gets overlooked a lot is pass protection.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And this is the one that's kind of hard to choose, because not all great running backs are great in pass protection.
You're right about that.
So, that's why they got third down backs. Everybody's thinking about catching the football, but in reality,
that pass block.
Can you recognize what's going on and then physically be able to step up in there and take care of business? And I might go with a guy like Mike Allstott.
Oh yeah, for sure. A-Train, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my back right there, man. That's my running back.
Not bad choices. LT, Mike Allstott, Marshawn Lynch combined 10-1 with Darren Sproles. I don't know. You might have a Hall of Fame player right there for sure.
Yeah, don't forget about Barry, the elusivity.
Can't forget about Barry. Yeah, you throw Barry in the mix. You might just break M.S. Smith's rushing record with that one.
He would have the record if he wanted to keep playing.
Yeah, you're right about that. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, your basketball skills. They used to call you Baby Jordan back in the day, because that fadeaway was so cash money when you was out there on the court, man. So tell me about some of the nicknames, you had growing up. You had Baby Jordan, or, I did hear they used to call you Pied Piper when you were out there too. So what's some of your favorite nicknames that you done had throughout the years?
Well, I don't know if all of them are my favorites, but my family on my mom's side, growing up, they would call me Earthquake. And I'm talking about they would for real call, when I showed up at the crib, it was, "What's up, Earthquake?" It was and it was because I was born in '89 and there was an earthquake, and it's just the lamest reason that you can think of, but it was a real nickname. It's one of the it's a real nickname when they don't call you by Robert at all. It's Earthquake or it's nothing. So they call. Not a lot of people know that. That's one that's really, really on the down low. Earthquake. And then I got a little older in my hometown. Actually, so in elementary school, not a lot of people know this either.
Yeah.
But from grades like K through 6, the homies used to call me Robbie.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know what happened. I graduated from that when I got into junior high, but all through elementary, we got Robbie.
Yeah.
You know, I come out, it's recess, we picking teams, we got Robbie. Robbie. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because if I say something like that now, they'd be like, what? Like,
Robbie.
We're not gonna call you that, you know. But in elementary
that's definitely
school,
one of those nicknames you age out of for sure.
Yeah, you age out.
Maybe a grown man going by Robbie.
Right. That's hella funny, man. So Robbie was elementary school, junior high, and the early parts of high school. Everybody would call me Rob T.
Yeah.
And that was one that stuck with me for a pretty long time. You know, Rob T. And if you like grew up with me and you still know me to this day, you probably call me Rob T more than you call me Turbo. Even though Turbo kind of came along my sophomore, junior year of high school, and that's the one that I get called the most by my peers. From that time, my junior high school, all the way through college, all the way through the pros, all the way through broadcast, even people that really don't even know me. Like I was on a radio show last week, and we interviewed Mike Mayock. Remember, Mike Mayock was a big draft analyst, and he was the general manager of the Raiders for a little bit. And he even called me Turbo, and I'm like, you know, this you don't even know me, you know. So that one has stuck with me the most, man. So yeah, so that's the Earthquake to Robbie to Rob T to Turbo, man.
Funny thing is, you say that Earthquake is you know, that's a family given nickname. I was Googling, I was doing my research, you know, and Earthquake was actually a nickname that popped up for you. And I was like, I don't feel like anybody really calls him Earthquake.
Yeah, that's everybody on my mama's side. Aunties, uncles, you know, even cousins, my older cousins. Where is Earthquake at? You know, that's crazy. That's why I don't bring him nowhere in public. You know, when we visit, it's at home.
Everybody has that side of the family. We like, you know, I can't take y'all out in public. Y'all don't know how to act. But I love y'all. Yeah. It don't make me love y'all no less. But y'all don't know how to act when y'all out. So I gotta.
That's funny, man.
For sure. Oh man, Mr. Turbin, but I got one more question before we wrap it up, man. And again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on the 3D, giving the people some more insightful information about who you are, about your life, about your NFL career, and everything that you are doing in your life as well. But as I wrap this one up, if you had a young player ask you today, is the NFL worth it? What would you tell them?
Absolutely. The other thing, though, that I would tell them is, because this is really important, is that you have to find a way to utilize the NFL as a platform to propel yourself for life after. And the earlier you do that, the sooner you do that, the better. And it's hard. It's hard to do it. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do because our whole lives we dedicate our lives to the game. I dedicated my life. I particularly lived a certain way from the time that I was in the 8th grade all the way through the time I graduated college so that I could make it to the NFL purposely. I was purposeful and intentional about the way that I lived my life because I felt like that is what I needed in order for me to get to where I wanted to go, achieve the goals. I I didn't put that same energy into whatever else it was. And you should, because the reality is even during the time that you are preparing for football, like I talked about the off season, the structure of it in the NFL, you have time. But what are you doing with that time? You make it in the NFL, you play the season. What are you doing in the off season outside of training? You can only train for so many hours of the day. How are you capitalizing on the other hours? Most of us, the truth is, we chilling. We on the Madden, 2K. We outside. That's the reality of it. How do I know? Because I've been there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Seen it. And if instead we utilize that time to go get a master's or intern or have a second job, and there's a couple of examples that I could share with you, you would be better off. As a matter of fact, I am gonna share with you a couple of examples.
Go for it, please do.
I'll never forget. I made a phone call to Bobby Wagner in 2018 or 17. It's in the off season. We chilling, whatever. And so I call him and I say, "What's up, B Wags? What you got going on?" He like, "Man, I'm at the office." He said, "I'm chilling. I'm at the office, just getting some work done." And I was like, "Oh, well, shit, man. Just hit me back. When you get done working out." And he was like, "Nah, I'm not working out." He said, "I'm at the office, getting some work done." I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "What is he talking about?"
Yeah.
So I'm like, because I thought when he said the office, I just thought that was another way of him saying like, when I'm working out,
getting in the lab,
yeah, getting some physical therapy, whatever. You at the office? That's our office. That's what we do. Pro ball.
Exactly.
And then when he told me, he says, "Man, he says I'm working with a venture capital company in Bellevue, and so I have to work out of the office 2 to 3 times a week." And I put the phone down and went like this. And I thought to myself, this man is already headed to the Hall of Fame. He's on his 3rd contract. And he's talking about working at a desk at the office in his off season, bruh. But that's what I'm talking about, though. He's setting himself up for, so whenever he's done, he already has another career, another avenue that is going to lead him to success. Yeah. You won't have that lull like most ball players do. Another example is Tyler Lockett. You can say what you want to say about Tyler Lockett, and he didn't have a good year this year, and he's towards the end, and he played for 2 teams this season and didn't do much with the Raiders. Tyler Lockett been selling houses for the last 6 years for Keller Williams Real Estate. And so here's a guy, when he first started, was still the primary wide receiver, at least one of them, for the Seahawks. But in the offseason, he got his real estate license, and he started working. And I'm not talking about like, oh, let me connect you with a real estate agent, and then I get the little change off
the real estate agent.
I'm talking about, here's the bathroom.
Walking properties. Yeah.
Here's the backyard. And so he got a second job. And so maybe this is his last season as an NFL pro football player. But he's already in a second career. He's 6 years, 7 years into it already. He's almost a decade into a second career that's very lucrative, which is real estate, if you do it the right way.
Indeed. Yes,
so
indeed.
Is the NFL worth it? Absolutely. But it's only worth it because it can propel you and set up avenues for you to do the next thing. If you approach it that way, then you'll maximize being a pro football player. And that's in any sport. That's in any pro. That goes for NHL. That goes for NBA, ML, all of them.
It's worth it if you make it worth it. It's all about the work that you put in on the field and off the field. If you can maximize your own potential for yourself, even if you're not working on football. Like you said, you know, Bobby Wagner, he's got his own ventures, he's got his office stuff going on. Tyler Lockett, I had no idea that he would be this deep into a real estate career, but to have that type of side venture as an NFL player and still be as productive as he has been throughout his career, he's probably one of the most underrated NFL wide receivers when it comes to just consistency throughout your career. And for him to be doing this side venture, that's impressive. That's definitely impressive. And that's definitely what a lot of young athletes that's coming in, especially now with the NIL era and stuff like that, to have a little bit of extra money. So whenever you are in your NFL career, you can be able to have those side ventures and side projects and those investments to be able to propel your money a little bit further.
The truth of the matter is, it ends for everybody.
Indeed.
You can.
Father Time is undefeated.
I don't give a damn how great you become. You know what I'm saying? It's over. And I'm telling you from experience, bro, because I wasn't ready. Yeah. And I really struggled because of it. It's free game. You know what I'm saying?
Free game, and you only gonna get it here first from Mr. Robert Turbin on 3D, man. And Mr. Turbin, I appreciate you again for sticking it out with me, coming on and doing this interview, and I appreciate everybody for sticking it out with us on 3D on this episode, man. Robert, Mr. Turbin, you have been a blessing, man. I appreciate you again.
Appreciate you, bro.
Most definitely, man. You take care. Have a blessed night.
You too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do Cam Chancellor, who knocked my helmet off in training camp practice one day.
Sheesh.
I was a rookie. So,
I was doing Oklahomas?
No, we didn't do Oklahomas.
I'm about to say they doing Oklahomas.
No, it wasn't Oklahomas, but we was hitting though.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
Always hitting.
I was definitely.